for electricity costs per state. And additionally, this does not factor in cost of the mining rigs themselves. So, a lot of other factors would actually go into producing a Bitcoin. Galaxy has a pretty good model for this, especially for the public miner specifically, that factors in administrative overhead, debt, a lot of things. So this is basically just looking at how much the energy would cost to produce one Bitcoin. And as you can see, it has gone up dramatically across the board. Texas, given the heat waves in July, and this data is based on July electricity prices, the average cost was 14,000 to produce a BTC based on July energy prices in 2022 versus 4,700 in 2021. So a massive difference. This kind of just is a kind of a clever and novel way to show how much margins are getting compressed. And a lot of those prices are obviously getting passed along. The rise in energy prices are getting passed along in terms of hosting rates. It was pretty common last year that perhaps a favorable or like average hosting rate would be about 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Now we're starting to see 8 cents kind of be the new standard across the industry. We have another little graphic of the US here based on some numbers that we pulled from our hosting marketplace and Hashbranch's hosting marketplace, looking at average cost per state. And very few states still have hosting rates below 8 cents a kilowatt hour. As you can see right here, Texas, the average for our data set, which is, again, not comprehensive, but a good proxy. It's pretty on par with some private rates that we've seen on the Luxor business side. 8 cents a kilowatt hour in Texas. And then, some other mining hotspots. North Dakota, 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Nebraska, almost 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Wyoming, almost 9 cents a kilowatt hour. Pennsylvania, almost 9 cents a kilowatt hour. New York, 7.5 cents a kilowatt hour. So hosting costs are going up across the board. For our Q4 report, I hope to have a kind of time-lapse version of this to show how much they have gone up from prior quarters. We're working on that. And this is also this is limited data as well, but showing that prices are also rising for Canadian hosts as well. Ontario, 8 cents a kilowatt hour. Quebec, almost 9 cents a kilowatt hour. And Labrador, 8 cents a kilowatt hour on average. Now, the news item that I wanted to pull from last week's news cycle that highlights, how this, where this problem is going. Core Scientific is reportedly raising its average or its base hosting costs to just under 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So, somewhere between 9 and 10 cents. That is a huge rise, and also puts some miners, unless they have the newest gen equipment like the S19 XP, it puts them at break even or puts them underwater. I think this might be a good time to show this chart too. As you can see, this is break even hash price for different rigs. This is based on I believe the hash price level I used for this was basically $68 per petahash. Yeah, 68 cents per terahash per day, so $68 per petahash. And as you can see, at 10 cents, the an S19 J Pro is no longer profitable at $68 per petahash per day. Right now, we're just under $70 per petahash per day. And so the only machines that are going to be making money under that new price rise for hosting is something like the S19 XP or maybe the M50S from WhatsMiner. So this is pretty huge news, especially in light of Compute North's recent bankruptcy. Compute North filed for bankruptcy in Q3. It was filed for bankruptcy. I think it was like September 22nd. And that's going to have a lot of downstream effects for the miners. A lot of them public, especially hosting with Compute North. Right now, they're finalizing stuff for the auction, the 363 asset sale for Compute North, which should start on November 1st. And, it's kind of just a wait and see to see how much contagion there is going to be in the public mining market as, Compute North auctions off their assets and some of them come under new management. We've already seen one of Compute North's bigger clients, Marathon Digital, is looking at Applied Blockchain to move all of their hosting to a new spot. But the core scientific news is pretty timely given what happened with Compute North, because Compute North basically could not pass on a rise in hosting costs to their clients based on the contracts they had signed with them, and also Compute North did not have fixed PPA agreements in place with their power providers, and it's sorry about that, and it's looking like Core Scientific also did not have fixed PPAs in place, but they are passing these costs on to some of their clients. And again, this is going to spell pain for a lot of folks using Core Scientific Q3, but less than they did in Q2. New gen machines fell 38%, mid gen 21%, and old gen 17%. A lot of this falling has to do with the fact that Bitcoin's price obviously tanked. At the end of Q2, we saw a severe drawdown in June. That's where the majority of the selling happened, but it continued to, a lot of that selling continued throughout July in Q3, especially as more miners had to power down because of, the heat waves, and had to shed some of their inventory. One of my favorite findings from this is we're starting to see, because of these adverse market conditions with hash price and with rising energy costs, we're starting to see the S19 XP command a premium over new gen rigs in terms of dollar per terahash. So at the beginning of the year, sometimes futures orders for the S19 XP would actually have a discount. And we use the spot prices here because we did not have a comprehensive futures data for new gen rigs like the S19J Pro and other ones. But as you can see here, some weeks there would be a discount, other weeks it was basically on par. But as the year progresses, we start to see this premium widen. And in Q3, the premium widened quite a lot. As you can see here from this analysis, in Q1, the average premium for the S19 XP over new gen rigs from our ASIC price index was only 1%. In Q2, it was 21%. In Q3, the average premium was 43%. So quite a large premium. And again, it just goes to show people want the newest gen equipment as mining economics continue to tumble. And just a little chart showing average weekly futures prices for the S19 XP. By the end of Q3, the S19 XP was going for just under about $6,500 per XP. So quite a long way down, but the price is holding on relatively well, as you can kind of see from this premium chart compared to other ASICs. Because the S19 XP, anywhere from 130 to 140 terahashes a second, and the efficiency, I believe, is like 21.5 joules per terahash, so a lot better than even the S19J Pro and other new gen rigs on the market. And our last section, or our last major section on the report, looks at how public Bitcoin miners are doing. We have a BTC mined per month in Q3. And we also have a little bit of data on how much debt and equity miners have taken on this year, including at the market offerings, which are becoming more and more popular. And we also look at BTC sold by month with these Bitcoin miners. And as you can see right here, selling actually slowed down in August and September, and in July. It peaked in June so far this year. We'll see if that remains the peak. But miners are starting to sell fewer Bitcoin than they mine per month. In September was, I believe, the first September and August were the first months that they had sold fewer than they mined since May and April, or since April. And there's just a few other things looking at distressed asset sales, acquisitions, and Compute North Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And that is it for our rundown of the Q3 report. Y'all can check it out online at hashrateindex.com /blog on this blog post. and you can download the report right here from the blog post directly. And that'll do it for today's live stream. If you would like to receive stuff like the Q3 report and other analysis into your inbox weekly, please subscribe to our blog at or our newsletter at hashrateindex.com/blog. And also be sure to follow us on Twitter at hashrateindex and at Luxor Tech Team. And just a quick note, I will be out for the next 2 weeks on a trip with my wife on our honeymoon. So we will pick up with this live stream when I'm back the week, I believe, of November 14th. So with that said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you all have a good week and happy hashing. Take it easy, y'all.